Time to take a look at the Eastern Front and how the Wehrmacht conducted raids or Stoßtruppunternehmen. For this we have an example published in November 1942 by the General of the Infantry in the German Army's General Staff. And since it was reprinted in February 1944, I guess it was rather useful. Officially the title of the example was Stoßtruppunternehmen ohne Feuervorbereitung, which means raid without fire preparation. And in case you are wondering, the literal translation for the first word is thrust detachment operation, because why not? So let's start off with the situation report. The Russian defends himself and build up positions 300 to 500 meters in front of our main line of resistance, in outposts of platoon strength. In the intermediate area, numerous double and pendulum sentries are used. Bilateral reconnaissance activities without notable successes. First off, Soviet platoon strength was around 40 to 50 men, or to be more specific, according to Soviet tables of organization and equipment by April 1941, the authorized strength should be 54 men. And since December 1942, it should be 38 men. Then again, authorized strength is usually higher than the actual strength. So now let's take a look at the map. There are some forests in the northern parts of the map. In the center, there's a bog, which is connected to a brook running through the center of the map. Eastward of the brook there are two paths that lead behind a hill, which is also covered by trees. There are also more trees on the western part and the eastern part of the map as well. Now here's the main line of resistance, or Hauptkampflinie, usually just HKL in German, which literally translated means main combat line. The north of it is occupied by the Soviets and the south by the Germans, although there's a notable exception. There is a German combat outpost about 200 meters north of the main line of resistance, rather close to the Soviet positions A and B. Note, it is not known by the Germans how long the Soviet defenses extend into the forest here. On the eastern side of the bog there is the Soviet position C. The Soviet position left and right of the bog are connected with a beaten path. Additionally, most positions are protected by local obstacles in front of them. Additionally, near C, there's an extensive line of obstacles that stretches from the bog to a minefield in the front of another Soviet position. Speaking of minefields, there are three, indicated in the maps as well. Two east of the bog and another on the western edge of the bog. Now on the German side, there's also a bog and a small forest. South of it there's an observation post, and directly at the main line of resistance there's a light machine gun position. Now there's a bit of an issue here with the symbols. As such, I asked Phil, a former machine gunner from the Swiss Army, on his thoughts, and he helped me out greatly. First, the symbol next to the MG doesn't conform to any symbols I know from the Army regulations. Yet very likely it indicates that the MG position is connected either with radio or field cable. The second issue is the S, because usually that stands for schwer, meaning heavy. But Germans had different symbols for heavy and light machine guns, as you can see here. Phil suggested that this was likely a light machine gun position with the option to be changed to a heavy machine gun position by keeping the tripod close or some other setup. Anyway, let's move on. There were observations made by the Germans, namely, for days the battalion observation post and artillery observation post have been detecting the movement of individual Russians to the northeast, sometimes even small groups, in front of the known enemy outpost C, northeast of the bog. The assumption is this way the relief of outpost C takes place. Based upon this observation, a mission was formulated and is rather short. Capturing prisoners by taking Russians by surprise on relief path. Naming of terrain features. Now you might ask what is Geländetaufe, literally translated terrain baptism. Sadly I could not find an English equivalent, yet often there are none. Anyway, terrain baptism is the method of naming various points on the terrain in order to allow for better communication and also to make it harder for the enemy to decipher intercepted messages. Now, the actual mission is preceded by reconnaissance of three crucial aspects. A. The possibilities to cross the bog, in particular how extended it is and the overall situation of the vegetation there. B. Reconnaissance to determine the presence of enemy north of the bog. And C. Determining different approaches from the bog towards the relief route. This information was acquired within 4 days. About the possibilities to cross the bog, it is noted: A. Due to the persistently sunny weather, dry islands have formed in the bog. The remaining part, as far as the bog is concerned, is at most half knee deep. as far as swampy areas are concerned, above knee-deep. These areas had to be overcome by carrying ladders or planks. The ground vegetation consists of bush terrain with high marsh grasses and offers good cover against enemy vision. Only a beaten path, apparently little walked on, leads across a swampy stream bottom. Next is about the enemy presence north of the bog. About B, enemy occupation cannot be determined. And finally, the possibilities of approach. Approaches are possible along the bottom of the brook. This reconnaissance must be carried out 2 times, since the first patrol goes off course by following the brook, meets a broad path that runs in a general eastward direction. On this path, vehicle traffic, road repair, etc. can be noticed. The second patrol can also notice that east of the fork in the path there is likely a command post. The traffic there is quite busy. Let's move to the actual preparation. In order to cross the bog at dawn, planks are laid across during the night. To cover this action, proper noise camouflage was provided with a platoon of infantry support guns that opened fire on enemy outposts B and C. As such, nearby Soviet troops were suppressed, and it was very unlikely the soldiers laying out the planks would be discovered. Next is the organization of the men involved. The number of men is rather small. This is explained within the example as follows. First, the terrain is hard to traverse. Second, due to previous reconnaissance, the terrain and enemy dispositions are well known. Third, the Germans had problems even spotting their own tracks in the bog. As such, it is assumed that the Soviets would not find any traces of them. Hence, the mission was conducted by a second lieutenant with 3 squads, each with 4 men and 1 NCO. Note that the regular German infantry squad, die Gruppe, had an authorized strength of 10 men, as discussed in my video on German squad tactics. Yet, for now, let's look at the squad's equipment. Squad A with a light machine gun and rifles. Squad B and C each with 3 machine guns, a captured automatic rifle, and a scoped rifle. In addition, plenty of hand grenades, flare pistol. Each squad is equipped with 2 marching compasses. Now, Z-Gewehr is very likely short for Zielgewehr or something similar, meaning it was equipped with a scope. Yet what is more confusing is the captured automatic rifle, automatisches Beutegewehr. Most likely it is referring to a semi-automatic rifle like the Soviet SVT-40. The issue is those were usually called Selbstladegewehr in German, literally meaning self-loading rifle. The only alternative could be magazine-fed machine guns like the Browning automatic rifle, which was used in the Polish army and as such was used as a captured weapon by the Germans as well. Yet since this action likely took place in summer 1942, the Germans are already deep in Soviet territory, hence any captured weapons by that point likely would be mostly Soviet origin. Yet back to the mission. It also defines light signals. A green one indicates that the mission was successful and that the artillery and infantry support guns should cover their paths with a box barrage, whereas red would indicate danger. For this case, a squad would be located at the path made with ladders and planks leading into the bog area. Yet, should unexpectedly squads be cut off from the withdrawal route, these squads must break through to allow for a retreat. At the exit of the plank ladder path, a standing reconnaissance troop will be left behind. Now let's see how the mission was conducted. The combat patrol advances at daybreak. After crossing the bog area, Squad A takes position north of the beaten path. Its responsibility is to cover the southern flank and back of the mission. Meanwhile, Squad B covers the northern flank. It is located between the main path and the relief path. Squad C is in the center and lays in ambush of the relief path. Squad D meanwhile secures the exit at the bog south of the beaten path. Remember, Squad A, B and C together with its commander are just 60 men. This means they have to be careful on when and where they engage. The morning traffic there is so busy that 2nd Lieutenant Z initially can't decide to act. As a result, the squads lie in wait until 2 PM in the afternoon, when finally the path is less busy and an interesting target appears. From the main path, 2 riders appear. One of them is identified as an officer. The rider stops near the combat patrol and the officer takes out a map. This is the moment the patrol leader uses for the raid. At the beginning of the surprise fire, the riders try to gallop towards the main path. Both horses are hit. As a consequence, both riders fall down. The officer is stuck beneath his horse, whereas his companion is able to flee into the forest east of the relief path. Of course, meanwhile the Soviets react. From the main path, Soviet soldiers move in. These are engaged by Squad B and are driven off. Soon Squad C manages to capture the officer, who has a crushed kneecap from the fall. The German soldiers make sure to get his map and map case. In order to evacuate, Squad B moves in and gets in contact with Squad C to provide cover. The injured Soviet officer is put in or on a shelter half, which is basically a sheet of canvas used for tents. The Soviets don't engage for a second time, although there's noise heard in the distance. At the beaten path, finally all squads meet. After Squad A, B, and C have crossed, Squad D follows. Once Squad D has evacuated as well, the squad leader fires the green signal, which initiates the barrage by artillery and infantry support guns. The example is concluded with a report on the results and lessons learned. The Russian officer, a first lieutenant, is a member of a division staff. He has gotten lost. He cannot be moved to testify. Informative orders as well as a map with troop organization and valuable details are given to the regiment. In terms of lessons learned, it is noted that the initial recon patrol lacked a compass. Additionally, it is noted, prepare interdiction of the evacuation with harassing fire from the heavy weapons. Provide the reconnaissance patrol with forward observers to allow accurate adjustment fire of the artillery and infantry support guns. So the next time you need to conduct a raid on an enemy position and grab an officer who is stuck under his horse, you know what to do. Also, don't forget to bring your compass. Big thank you here to Phil for his thoughts and advice on the MG position and the automatic rifle. Also thanks to Roman for his insights on the later issue as well. Additionally thanks to Alexander, Stahlstadt and Never Own Gun for the Discord discussions on military terminology and English translations and or the lack of these translations. Big thank you here to everyone who supports me on Patreon, subscribes to our PayPal. As always, sources are listed in the description. Thank you for watching and see you next time.